I'm Rich Lyons. I'm the Dean of the Business School here, the Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley. It's an honor for me to welcome all of you here. We have a wonderful speaker, Mr. Guy Kawasaki, and I'll get a chance to introduce him to you. Before I do that, I just wanted to mention a couple of upcoming events that we've got in our Dean's Speaker Series, which this is part of. Yves Bahar will be here, industrial designer, leading light in that field. He'll be here on Monday, October 3rd. That will be a talk on design and innovation in business, as you might expect from Mr. Bahar. That will be here in the Wells Fargo room. That's an evening talk, so that's 7:30 p.m. on Monday night. Following that, Mr. Carl Hahn, former chairman of Volkswagen, will bring some wonderfully international perspective into the Dean Speaker Series. That's Tuesday, October 11th. That will be a daytime talk. That's 12:30. Turning to today's event. So sold out event. We've got overflow viewing. Very, very excited to have Mr. Kawasaki with us here today. We're webcasting, we are broadcasting, we are also tweeting, so we're trying to do as much as we can today with this talk with Twitter. The hashtag, if you are following or if you want to input, is Guy@Haas, GUYATHAAS, as a hashtag to follow what we're doing here today. So please do participate in that. The social media dimension of what we do here at Haas obviously is evolving very rapidly, as it is everywhere else. Mr. Kawasaki, co-founder, as many of you know, of alltop.com. That is an online magazine rack of top headlines, popular topics around the world. He's also a founding partner of Garage Technology Ventures. Many of you know him from his tenure at Apple. He held the title of Chief Evangelist while he was there. Mr. Kawasaki describes the position of Chief Evangelist this way, quote, "When I saw what a Macintosh could do, the clouds parted and the angels started singing. And for 4 years, I evangelized Macintosh to software and hardware developers and led the charge against worldwide domination by IBM. After his time at Apple, he went on to start a Macintosh database company that was called Acius and spent 2 years at that company. Today, he is busy pursuing his passions of writing, consulting, and speaking. He's the author of 10 books. I am not the author of 10 books, though I've been an academic my whole life. He's wonderfully prolific. His latest book, Enchantment, The Art of Changing Hearts, Minds, and Actions. That book is, in fact, available just outside if you would like to get a copy after the talk. He's graciously agreed also to autograph copies if you are picking one up. He holds an MBA from UCLA. His BA is from Stanford. He has an honorary doctorate from Babson College. We are pleased, very pleased, to have him here today with us. Let me turn it over to him, Mr. Guy Kawasaki. Guy.
Thank you. I have to admit that it made me cringe when he introduced me as an MBA from UCLA, as a graduate of Stanford, being where I am today. I realize some of the political nature here. My name is Guy Kawasaki, and I'm going to talk to you today about Enchantment, a little bit more about my background. I worked for Apple from 1983 to 1987. I was Apple's evangelist, so it was my job to convince people to write Macintosh software. And because I worked in the Mac division, that meant I worked for Steve Jobs, which was a very interesting experience, using the word interesting extremely loosely. The Macintosh division was arguably the largest collection of egomaniacs in the history of Silicon Valley. I think we held that record for about 2.5 decades until Google. Google broke the record. And we had a great time. We were not exactly the nicest people internally. For example, back then, there was the Apple II division and the Mac division. And if you looked at the Apple P&L, the P was Apple II and the L was Macintosh, because Apple II was shipping and Macintosh was not. So we were a cost center, not a revenue center. And yet, as one example of our arrogance, we would not let Apple II employees into the Macintosh division building. So they quickly figured out that they were paying for the building they weren't allowed into. So as you can imagine, that pissed them off. And so they came up with a great joke about us, which is how many Macintosh division employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? The answer is 1. The Macintosh Division employee holds up the light bulb and expects the entire universe to revolve around him. How many of you use Macs in this room? Oh, this is my kind of room. So, the Microsoft version of this joke is how many Microsoft employees does it take to screw in a light bulb? And the answer to that is none, because Bill Gates has declared darkness the new standard. So I've been watching tech speakers for about 25 years now, and I'll tell you the 2 key salient points about a tech speaker. First, they suck. Second, they go long. That's a very bad combination. If you suck and you're short, okay. If you're great and you're long, okay. But if you suck and you go long, it's like being stupid and arrogant. It's the worst possible combination. So what I've done is I've embraced the top 10 format for my speeches. I have 10 points today. This way, if you think I suck, you know approximately how much longer I'll suck. I truly hope you don't think I suck, but in case you do. And as I was getting ready for this speech, I thought I'd show you a picture that many of you may have not ever seen this thing, because this is where the Stanford axe is stored at Stanford. So I know you don't get to see the axe very much here. So I thought I would. And I want you to know that the athletic department of Stanford is very concerned about your criminal backgrounds. And so this case, if it detects that someone is trying to break into it, it drops the axe into a vault, the floor below. So now, this may add to the challenge and the desirability of you stealing the axe, but I just want you to know, people are thinking about what you would do. This is the Stanford axe case in the Stanford athletic department. So, with no further ado, let's talk about enchantment. There are 3 key pillars of enchantment. The first is likability. The second is trustworthiness. And the third is quality. If you want to be enchanting, you need all 3. Start with likability. This picture is a very good snapshot of likability. This is Richard Branson. The scenario here is that he and I were in Moscow to speak, and he came up to me in the speaker's room, and he asked me if I ever flew on Virgin. And I told him no, because I'm a United Airlines Global Services level customer. This is the highest level of United Airlines. And so I really don't want to jeopardize my United Airlines status, because it's not even clear how you get to be global service. You know, with 100K status, you fly 100,000 miles. Global services, nobody really knows. So you don't want to jeopardize that, because there's a lot of benefits to being a global services. So I told him that. And in real time, he got down on his knees and started polishing my shoes with his jacket. Now, you may not know Steve Jobs, but I will tell you, it will be a long time before Steve Jobs gets on his knees and polishes your shoes so you use an iPad. Trust me when I tell you this. So, captured for all of eternity, this is the moment I started flying Virgin America. So likability. Likability starts with a great smile. This is not a great smile. This is what's called a Pan Am smile, because the Pan Am flight attendant is not truly happy to see the passengers. Let's just be honest. What you want to do is have a Duchenne smile. A Duchenne smile is truly a great smile. It uses twice the number of muscles. You need the eye muscles and the jaw muscles. Most people only use jaw muscles. The eye muscles are the key. It's very hard to fake a Duchenne smile. The outcome of a Duchenne smile is honestly crow's feet. You want crow's feet. Crow's feet is a good thing. Think of all the money we saved already. Botox, plastic surgery. It's not even 1 o'clock, and we've already saved thousands of dollars here. You want a Duchenne smile. This woman is a woman named Mari Smith. She's an expert in Facebook marketing, if you're into Facebook marketing. And she's a friend of mine. And when I saw her picture, I told her, Mari, I want to use your picture for my speeches. This is really good news, bad news. The good news is you'll be in my speeches. I'll tell thousands of people about you every year. The bad news is you're in my speeches because you have crow's feet. She okayed it, and hence she's in the speech. Step 1, great smile. Step 2 is to dress for a tie. There are three concepts in dress. When you meet with other people, when you make a presentation, business meeting, whatever it is, you can dress below the audience. Essentially, you're saying, I don't respect you. You're all in business attire, and I'm in jeans and a t-shirt. I don't respect you. You can also overdress. When you overdress, you're essentially saying, I am better than you. I am richer than you. I have better taste than you. Also puts a distance between you and your audience. What you want to do is dress roughly equal to the audience. Roughly equal to the audience. The third component of likability is a great handshake. This is the mathematical formula for the great handshake. I'll provide the PDF. You don't need to copy this right now. It's all about the Duchenne smile, the firmness, the length of the shake, the distance between you, the temperature of your hand, the smoothness of your hand, the humidity of your hand. There's a lot of variables here to the perfect handshake. The next thing you need to do is to achieve trustworthiness, because you can be likable but not trustworthy. You can like, for example, a celebrity but not trust the celebrity. Right? You could like Charlie Sheen but not trust Charlie Sheen. So let's work on trustworthiness. First thing you need to do is understand that this is not a chicken or egg question. There's a definite sequence here. If you want to be trusted, you have to trust first. Some great corporate examples of trust. With Amazon, you can buy a Kindle ebook and you have 1 week to return it. Many people could read the book and return it, effectively reading it for free. Kindle or Amazon trusts you not to do that. A great example of e-commerce trust is Zappos. If Tony Hsieh had said to me, Guy, our business model is we're going to enable women to buy shoes without trying them on or seeing them, I would have told him he was nuts. That women will not buy shoes online. And yet, clearly, they do. One of the major reasons why they do is because they trust Zappos. And one of the major reasons why they trust Zappos is, of course, because Zappos pays shipping both ways. Imagine if Tony Hsieh had said, well, we're a startup. Someday we'll be able to offer you this kind of service, but right now you have to pay shipping back to us if you don't like the shoes. Zappos would not be what it is today. And the third example is a brick-and-mortar example, Nordstrom. Truly a company that personifies trust in both its employees and its customers. So the order is trust others, they will trust you. Second thing, you need to become a baker, not an eater. An eater sees the world as a zero-sum game. What I eat, you don't eat. More importantly to an eater, what you eat, I don't eat. Therefore, I need to eat as fast and as much as possible. A baker does not see the world like this. The baker sees the world as a non-zero-sum game. The baker says, I can bake more pies. I can bake bigger pies. Everybody can eat more. The rising tide floats all boats. Bakers are trustworthy. Eaters are not. And the last piece of advice for trustworthiness is default to a yes attitude. Whenever you meet people, always be thinking, how can I help the person? Not how the person can help me. Not what does this person want from me. How can I help the other person? This will make you a world-class networker and schmoozer. Always be wondering, how can I help the person that I've just met? Now that we're likable and trustworthy, we need to get this great, perfect product. The step that I start with is to create something that's dicey, D-I-C-E-E. The D in dicey stands for deep. Great products and great services are deep. They do lots of things. They do not lose effectiveness as you come up the power curve. Lots of features, lots of functionality. Great products are also intelligent. When you look at them, you say, this company was thinking. This company understood my pain. They understood what I need. And I'll give you a very analog example. This is a GT500 Shelby Mustang, a 550 horsepower, roughly 4 Priuses. This Mustang goes 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds. This is a badass Mustang, okay? I would love to buy one of these Mustangs. Asian American, going through midlife crisis, perfect way to compensate. So the problem is I have 4 children. My children are 6, 9, 16, and 18. 18-year-old, by the way, might be applying here. So anyway, one of the dangers of me buying a car like this is no matter how well I plan it, there will be instances where the 16 and the 18-year-old will drive it. And the thought of either of those two kids driving a 550 horsepower car is socially irresponsible. Okay? Luckily, Ford has a very intelligent product called the My Key. And this is what the My Key does. You can program into the key the top speed of the car and the highest volume of the stereo. So I could loan this key to my teenage boys, and they would not go faster than 55 miles per hour. That is an intelligent product. Next thing is, this is the cartoon that explains, mom and dad gives My Key, two older boys driving along, can't go fast, can't listen to stereo long. My Key. Next thing, great products are complete. It's the total ecosystem about it. If you're going to create a software product, it's not just the software. It's the software, the resellers, the retailers, the OEMs, the VARs, the webinars, the online documentation, the online support, the conferences. It's the totality of it. When you buy a Lexus, it's not just the car. It's not just the steel, leather, and rubber. It's the totality of the car with the service and support afterwards. And the first E is empowering. Great products and services empower you. They make you feel more creative and more productive. They don't fight you, right? That's the beauty of a Macintosh. It empowers people. It becomes part of you. It makes you a better person. It doesn't fight you. And the last E is elegance. Great product. Somebody cared about the user interface. So, if you want to enchant people, try to create a dicey product, a dicey service, deep, intelligent, complete, empowering, and elegant. Take it from someone who's tried it both ways. It is much easier to enchant people with great stuff than crap. Very, very, very much easier. Next thing to do is to be able to describe your dicey product or service in short, sweet, and swallowable terms. Like this ad, short, sweet, and swallowable. If you see something, say something. This ad was created right after 9/11 for the New York Mass Transit Authority. If you see something, say something. Many organizations try to create mission statements. I think you should create mantras. When you start your companies, when you go out into the business world, and when you can influence this decision, try to get a mantra for your organization, not a mission statement. A mission statement in the real world is done like this. It's a 2-day offsite. I can tell you've been on this thing, right? It's always held at a hotel with a golf course. There's very high correlation, mission statement and golf course. You take your top 50 employees. You hire an outside meeting facilitator. You need to hire an outside meeting facilitator because no one on your executive team can lead. If you had a leader, you wouldn't need the offsite. Not to be sexist, but typically it's a woman. And this woman drives a Prius, Birkenstock, vegan. Her name is Moonbeam, by the way. Moonbeam is on a dual-track career. She's an executive coach and a Lamaze instructor because the concept of pushing out a baby is very similar to pushing out a mission statement. So on day one of this cross-functional off-site at the Ritz-Carlton Half Moon Bay or the Claremont Hotel, you form cross-functional teams with the people in your organization that you can't stand. And then you do these great outdoor exercises. You fall into each other's arms. You climb ropes together. Hallelujah, kumbaya. At the end of the day, you love all these people. The next day, you're in a room like this. There's a pad of paper, and you craft this mission statement. And there are 50 of you there. You figure you've given 1 day of your life, 2 days of your life now. So you deserve to have at least one word in the mission statement. That's why mission statements are 50 words long. Okay? And this mission statement is going to be good for the shareholders, the employees, the customers, and if HR is there, it's going to be good for the whales and the dolphins. And you end up with some patent-pending, curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting mission statement that's going to enable employees to self-actualize their life goals while returning adequate compensation to shareholders while exceeding the expectations of their customers in a way that is benign and green. Nobody remembers that. Nobody can remember it. Nobody cares about it. Short, sweet, and swallowable. Do a mantra, 2 or 3 words. I'll give you some examples of hypothetical mantras. The mantra for Target should be democratize design. The mantra for eBay should be democratize commerce. The mantra for Nike is not just do it, that's a slogan. The mantra for Nike should be authentic athletic performance. My personal mantra, empower people. Mantra for FedEx. FedEx is all about absolutely positively getting stuff someplace. The mantra for FedEx, peace of mind. 2 or 3 words. Now I'm going to show you something that is the anti-example of short, sweet, and swallowable. This is a sign that explains how to cross a street with a mere 4 paragraphs. This sign, just so you know, was taken, I took this picture on the campus of Brown University. So I thought, okay, so maybe it's limited to Brown. 2 days later, I visited Yale. Yale has the same sign. This is an Ivy League thing, okay? That's what it takes for an Ivy League person to cross the street. Just FYI. That's why my son is applying mostly to West Coast schools. Next thing is to conduct a premortem. Arguably, this might be the most valuable lesson I could leave you as MBAs and business school students. A premortem is based on the work of this man, Gary Klein. The premortem concept is that before you launch something, you assemble the team, and you say to the team, let's pretend we failed. Let's come up with all the reasons why we hypothetically failed. And then let's go eliminate all those reasons so that we don't fail. A postmortem is done very differently. A postmortem is after you fail, you assemble the team and you try to figure out why you failed so that you don't do it again. The problem with a postmortem is A, it's too late, and B, most of the bozos who caused the failure are gone. You either fired them or they quit. So you don't really get much out of a postmortem. You could also say, why don't we just have a meeting? And the leader of the group would say, does anybody have any concerns or questions? Raise your hand now. The problem with that is that very few people are stupid enough to answer the question. Because if you're the software person and you raise your hand and you say, I am concerned about the quality of the marketing, or if you're the marketing person and you say, I am concerned about the quality of the software, guess what? You have now created an enemy. You are also positioned within the group as a negative, naysayer, late adopter, poor team player. All of that because you answered a legitimate question. Does anybody have any concerns? Premortem takes all that pressure off. Pretend we failed. Pretend we failed. Looking back, what are the reasons why we failed? And now let's go eliminate those reasons before we fail. Last thing, or the next thing you need to do is launch your product or service. And the key to a great launch is to tell a great story. A story about why you created this company because your mother had cancer, so you dedicated your life to life sciences. Or because you were so frustrated because the only place you could use a computer was at a library or a large company or a university or working for the government, so you thought, surely there must be a better way. Why can't we have a smaller, cheaper, easier to use computer? Why can't we have a personal computer? So we started Apple. Or my girlfriend wanted to sell her Pez dispenser collection. She wanted to do it online. There was no way for her to do it. So I started eBay. It's a total bullshit story, but a great story. Great story. Tell a story. Not that you're patent pending, curve jumping, and paradigm shifting, because every bozo says that, okay? You should apply what I call the opposite test. The way the opposite test works is, look at how you describe your product and see if it's the opposite of how all your competition describes your product, right? So if you're in the software business and you stand up and you say, you declare to the world in this press release, we are fast, scalable, enterprise quality, easy to use, bug-free, reliable. Do you think that your competition is saying, our product is slow, full of bugs, hard to use, cannot scale, unreliable? Basically, everybody says the same thing. Apply the opposite test. Next thing is to plant many seeds. I think There's two kinds of marketing in the world. Marketing 1.0, marketing 2.0. Marketing 1.0 is hierarchical. You suck up to the Wall Street Journal. You suck up to the Washington Post. You suck up to the New York Times, CNET, Wired, Forbes, Businessweek, Fortune. You suck up to these famous people, Robert Scoble, Chris Anderson, Michael Arrington, God help you. You suck up to these people, right? And you hope that these oracles and these powerful people, these people with 5 million followers on Twitter, they're going to like your product. And then they're going to tell the great unwashed masses, the hoi polloi, to use your product. And they're going to make your product. That was marketing 1.0, hierarchical, suck up to the powerful people. Marketing 2.0, the world has been flattened, if not inverted. In marketing 2.0, it's that nobodies are the new somebodies. That lonely boy 15 on Twitter with 15 followers, of which 10 are porn bots. Lonely boy 15 happens to love your product or service. Tells his 15 followers. Of the 15, 5 tell their followers. And one day you wake up and millions of people are using your product. That's the way it works today. It's because of Twitter and Facebook and now Google+. Today's world, I think that the A-listers, the powerful people, the big magazines, they report on success. They don't create success. You know, Twitter is 5.5 years old. I challenge any of you to show me an article that's 5.5 years old that says, I saw the future of personal communications today. It's a company called Twitter in San Francisco. It enables you to send out 140 character messages like, my cat rolled over, or the line at Starbucks is long. But mark my words, someday Twitter with its 140 characters is going to enable people to throw governments away, to overcome autocrats, to overcome suppression. Mark my words, Twitter is the future of communications. There's not one article like that. The fact of the matter is Twitter became successful because roughly 5.5 years ago, the nobodies at South by Southwest used Twitter to identify where the best sessions were. And they used it for that, and people love Twitter so much. All these lonely boy 15s loved Twitter and had it tip. They made it tip. If you believe that theory, then you have to plant many seeds because it's easy to identify Walt Mossberg at the Wall Street Journal and David Pogue at the New York Times. It's very hard to find Lonely Boy 15. To find Lonely Boy 15, you have to cover the earth. To cover the earth, it means that you have to create products that are very easy to use because you cannot handhold many Lonely Boy 15s. You could handhold Walt Mossberg and David Pogue. You cannot handhold Lonely Boy 15. Plant many seeds. Next thing is to use the salient points. On the left side, you see the jargon that people in an industry like to use. On the right side, you see what people think in terms of. Industry likes to say miles per gallon. What really people care about is yearly costs. Not-for-profits like to talk in terms of dollars. People who give money to not-for-profits are not thinking in terms of dollars. They're thinking, if I give you $50, how many weeks or months of food does that buy for that family in Guatemala? That's what I care about, not the $50. And the last thing, if you're in the gadget business, you want to define things in terms of gigabytes. People don't wake up in the morning typically saying, oh, if only I had another 16 gigabytes, I would be happy. That's not your typical conversation, right? They wake up in the morning thinking, how can I have more songs, more video? Is there an app for that? So use the kind of terminology on the right side. Yearly costs, months of food, number of songs. Next thing is to overcome resistance to your enchantment. You will have to overcome resistance. Indeed, the more innovative your product or service, the more you may have to overcome resistance. This is one example. In the 1980s, retailers were sick of electronic games. They didn't want to stock electronic games anymore. And so Nintendo realized it had a big problem. So what it did is it created a cheap little robot and added the robot to a game, and they repositioned the game into a toy. In fact, an educational toy. So now kids would go and ask their parents to buy them an educational toy to learn robotics. That is a much more powerful pitch to a parent than buy me an electronic game. That's how they overcame resistance. Another way is to provide social proof. I think Apple did this by mistake. I don't think Apple planned this, but one of the most powerful parts of iPod marketing was the white earbud. because you saw people with white earbuds. You figured that, that person is using an iPod. You saw more and more people using white earbuds. You were more and more likely to buy an iPod. When you bought an iPod, you used your white earbuds. You added to the pool of people wearing white earbuds. So more and more people saw more and more social proof of iPods, so they bought more iPods, so there was more social proof, so more people bought iPods, so there was more social proof, and it became this wonderful upward spiral. Provide social proof. Next thing to do is, when you announce something and ship something, inevitably you will find that lots of people hate it, and some people like it. Then you have a decision. Do you try to convince the people who hate it that they're wrong or that you can fix it for them? Or do you go after the people who already agree with you, who like what you do? My recommendation is you do the latter. That is, you flow where it's going. With Macintosh in the mid-'80s, we thought we had a spreadsheet, database, and word processing machine. Basically, we were 0 for 3. However, we did agree with the marketplace on one thing: desktop publishing. Aldous PageMaker. Aldous PageMaker was a gift from God to Apple. It saved Apple. Without desktop publishing, without Aldous PageMaker, there would be no Apple today. The world would be a different world. We would all have phones with keyboards. We would have phones where the battery lasted for more than a day. We would have phones where we weren't stuck with the lousiest data carrier in the United States. It would be a different world, okay? I believe in God. One of the reasons why I believe in God is there is no other explanation for Apple's survival than the existence of a benevolent God. You might be asking, what the hell does this picture of opera have to do with anything? There's an apocryphal story about 2 diplomats. They're meeting in a neutral country. They cannot come to any agreement. One diplomat says to the other diplomat, we have to come to some conclusion by Friday, because on Friday I have to go back to my country because I promised my wife I would take her to the opera. The other diplomat says, oh, your wife makes you take her to the opera too. The other diplomat said, yes, and I hate the opera. And the other diplomat said, oh, my wife makes me do that too, and I hate the opera too. Based on that little agreement, they eventually forged a relationship and ended the crisis. Find something to agree on, no matter how small. Find something to agree on. Then, in terms of enchanting people, I think there's often a temptation that you assume who the decision maker is and you focus with laser-like precision on the decision maker. And it's usually, you think, the father. 80% of the time you'd be wrong because it's the mother. Sometimes it's the sister-in-law. Sometimes it's the grandfather. But in my family, and many families around the world, it's the daughter. I have a 9-year-old daughter. She's the key to influencing me. You get to my daughter, you get to me. It's truly that simple. Enchant all the influencers. And now, while I'm on the subject of my daughter, I'm going to tell you something that you'll have to suspend disbelief for a second. How many of you have seen the movie Never Say Never, Justin Bieber movie? None of you, right? Oh, 4 of you. 4 of you. That's a high number. I'm telling you, I'll give you a money-back guarantee. I want you to buy or rent that movie. If you don't like it, if you don't learn anything, I'll give you your money back. And I'll tell you why. That is the best movie ever made about marketing. You will learn several things from that movie. Some professor should show that movie in a class. First of all, you'll learn that Justin Bieber is a social media phenomenon. It's not $250 million of marketing that made him successful. It was his mother and YouTube. Holy cow. Secondly, you'll see how hard that kid works. He's on this tour for 75 cities, traveling by bus. Amazing how hard he works. Third, many of you are mentors or seek mentoring. You'll see Justin Bieber interact with his vocal coach. A very, very interesting relationship. Good relationship to model your mentoring on. Next thing you'll see, we all talk about word-of-mouth marketing and viral marketing and people spreading the news voluntarily. Watch how Justin Bieber's people go into the parking lots of concerts and gives tickets to girls who don't have tickets. The emotion that generates And the word of mouth that it generates is just tremendous. Just watch those seeds. You'll be truly amazed. Trust me when I tell you, you should rent or buy, never say never, okay? And we're going to make this most amazing transition you ever saw in your MBA education now. We're going to go from Never Say Never and Justin Bieber to the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead is a group that has endured. Of all places in the world, in Berkeley, you should understand that. They have endured for decades. One reason why they have endured is because at their concerts, unlike most concerts, there is a special area for tapers, although nobody uses tape anymore. They create a special area at their concerts for people to record the concert to share. Contrast that to most groups, where they're getting the RIAA to sue little old ladies who have downloaded cello music from Napster, okay? The Grateful Dead encourages you to tape music and share it. That's what makes them endure. More ways to endure. First of all, build this ecosystem. So it's not just you. It's not just your company and your employees. It's all these other people who are supporting you and who are filling the gaps in your product offering. These conferences, developers, resellers, user groups, websites, all these things. The Apple user group, the Harley-Davidson owners groups, the Hogs, all these kinds of things. Find these people, nurture them. Next thing you do is invoke reciprocation. This is based on the work of Bob Cialdini. This is a carpet that depicts the war between Italy and Ethiopia. Italy invaded Ethiopia in the 1930s. When that happened, people of Mexico collected money and sent it to the Ethiopians to help them in this war. 90 years later, there's a big earthquake in Mexico. The people in Ethiopia were in the midst of a famine. Guess what the people in Ethiopia did? They collected money, even though they were starving, and sent money back to Mexico because the feeling of reciprocation is so strong. Indeed, it is the fabric that holds society together. Another example, after the Civil War, the people of New York bought the people of Charleston a fire truck. Actually, two, because the first one was on a ship that sank. These are the Northerners who just got finished fighting the Southerners. They bought them a fire truck. 150 years later, right after 9/11, guess what the people of Charleston did for the people of New York? Because of reciprocation. They bought the people of New York a fire truck 150 years later. 2 power tips about reciprocation for you from Robert Cialdini. First, if you are defaulting to yes, if you are thinking like a baker and not an eater, you will help people. And when people help you, and when you help people, they will thank you. I'm going to give you the optimal response for when somebody thanks you for doing something. So let's pretend that I did something for you and you're thanking me, okay? So she thanks me. And I tell her, not simply you're welcome, I tell her, you're welcome, I know you would do the same for me. Because by telling her I know you would do the same for me, I'm telling her she has class. She's a good person. I know she would do the same for me. I'm also telling her, I know you will do the same for me. I am putting you on notice. I did something for you, and I know you will do something for me. Second power tip about reciprocation, enable people to pay you back. You may think you should say, I know you will do the same for me, but don't worry about it. You think that that's probably optimal. You're relieving pressure from her, but in reality, you're really not. She still thinks she owes you. She thinks she owes you. She may not ask you to do more things that you are perfectly willing to do. I am not clairvoyant. If she doesn't ask me, how would I know what ways I can help her? She has to ask me, but she won't because she already owes me. So in fact, if you want to have a more enchanting relationship, you need to enable her to ask me to do more. And the way you do that is to give her a way to pay you back. You're doing her a favor by letting her pay you back. Case in point, I love to play hockey. I play hockey 5 times a week. As an indication of how much I care for your school, I gave up hockey today at lunch. If you knew what a big sacrifice that was, Dean, you would really be impressed. But Anyway, my wife is very active with social causes. Often social causes meet at night, right, for their planning and stuff. So there are many cases where I want to play hockey, like tonight, and she has to go to a meeting. What do we do with our two younger kids, 6 and 9? Now, you could say, why don't you just let the 16-year-old and 18-year-old watch them? But if you think about that for a second, if I would not let them use my Mustang, why would I let them watch their brother and sister? So we are at a problem here, because it's very difficult for me to go to my wife and say, you can't go to that social cause meeting and help the people of Guatemala because I need to play hockey. Okay? That just ain't going to fly. So the solution is we have a neighbor. And this neighbor has 2 teenage boys who are always at our house. We feed them, they sleep at our house, we take them to games, to lacrosse games, to hockey games, football games, you name it. We do a lot for them. And so my solution is always, honey, let's just ask Corby to watch our kids. And she says, no, she has 2 teenage boys, she's busy too. I said, but you know what, we do so much for their kids that I just know she feels this whole pressure and indebtedness. So you go to your meeting, I'll play hockey, she'll watch our kids, and she'll feel so much better. It's a win-win-win. Enable people to pay back their debts. The next step is to become a great presenter. Enchanting people are very good presenters. Some tips for you. First of all, customize the start or introduction of your presentation. This is a picture of my LG washer and dryer. The scenario here is that I was in Brazil to speak to the Latin American management of LG. However, because I wasn't so cogent that day, I got to Brazil, and then I figured out, Guy, you're speaking to LG. You're such a dope because you have a washer and dryer from LG. You should have taken a picture of the washer and dryer, and then you can go into the speech and say, I'm a customer of yours. I understand. I bought this washer and dryer. I specifically bought the washer because it has a steam cycle. And in 3 years, I have never used that steam cycle. But that's why I bought that washer. I'm one of your customers. I understand, all right? Would have been a great introduction. But unfortunately, I was already in Brazil. So I send a text message to my 2 older boys, the 2 older boys I don't want driving the Mustang, and I try to invoke a little reciprocation. I say, get off Call of Duty, get off Halo for a second, take the iPhone 4s that Dad bought you, go downstairs, take a picture of the washer and dryer, send it to me. I'm going to be on deck really soon. Send it to me. I need it in Brazil. 10 minutes go by, nothing happens. So the 2 boys are Nick and Noah. Nick is the older one, Noah is the younger one, right? So I send a text message. I said, Nick, did you get my text messages? In other words, where the hell are the pictures? Nick answers, Noah, his other brother, said he got the message and he took the pictures. Since you're talking to LG, can you get us some TVs? Welcome to my life. Welcome to my life. And then, just to show you that there's a difference between reciprocation and stupidity, my response was, I don't think so. Customize the introduction. When I speak around the world, I visit the countries before I speak. I want to show them that I'm not just flying in, shock and awe, and flying out, not the Republican approach to speaking, okay? So I show pictures where I visit their country. Let me show you some pictures that I've used to introduce speeches around the world. This is me in Moscow. Russians really have big balls. They really do. This is me in Edinburgh, where I'm learning about this delicacy called haggis, which is like poi for Scottish people. I don't recommend it. This is me in front of the headquarters of Al Jazeera in Doha. Very interesting place. Al Jazeera really is a kick-butt news agency. Wow. And they use lots of Macintoshes. They really use social media. Very, very interesting place. But my favorite picture to depict going to other places is this one. This is me trying on a fez in the Grand Bazaar of Istanbul. And look at the fez merchant behind me. That's what you call a Duchenne smile. You know what he's thinking? He's thinking, this dumbass American is going to buy this fez. I've had this fez in my shop for 20 years. No Turkish people buy fezzes that look like this. Only a dumbass American would buy this fez. I hope he buys this fez. I've been trying to get rid of this fez for years and years and years. The next thing is when you make a presentation, sell your dream. Sell your dream. It's not about your patent-pending, curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting, unique, revolutionary product or service. Again, apply the opposite test. It's probably the same thing that you're saying is what your competition is saying. Patent-pending, curve-jumping, paradigm-shifting, revolutionary. As a venture capitalist, I've never had anybody come into our offices, we have a piece of crap. Honestly, 99% of the time, they do have a piece of crap. So how do you figure out which 1% is not lying? In fact, they don't even know that they're lying. That's part of being an entrepreneur. So, well, you can tell they're lying. Their lips are moving. But so what you have to do is you have to sell your dream. All right? So Apple's going to announce an iPhone 5, everybody thinks, on October 4th, right? And it won't be Steve Jobs, but I guarantee you, when Steve Jobs introduced iPhones, he did not stand up and say, I have iPhone 4 here today. It is $188 worth of parts. We have these parts put together by a factory in China where people kill themselves all the time. And if you buy this iPhone 4 of $188 worth of parts manufactured by this company in China, you'll be stuck with a 2-year data plan with the worst carrier in America. Okay? That's not how he positions an iPhone. He positions an iPhone as cool and thin and beautiful, and there's an app for that. It'll make you sexy, it'll make you hot, and it'll make you cool, and life will change, and the skies will part, and angels will start playing music when you buy an iPhone. He sells his dream for the iPhone. It is not $188 worth of parts manufactured in China. And the last part of this is the 10-20-30 rule of PowerPoint, which if you would only all embrace this rule, you would be much more successful raising money. 10-20-30 rule. The optimal number of slides in a PowerPoint presentation is 10. 10. You'd be fortunate to get 10 ideas clearly across. 10. Now, you may be looking at me with skepticism, if not hostility. You might be thinking to yourself, well, Guy, you're such a hypocrite. You're saying use 10. So far, you've used about 40. What's the deal? I'll explain. You're not me. The second point is you should be able to give your presentation, all 10 slides, in 20 minutes. Yes, you have an hour meeting, okay? However, you have to understand, 95% of the world needs 40 minutes to make their Windows laptop work with the projector. You have to understand that. The rest of the world will really have 40 minutes to discuss your product or service. 20 minutes. And the optimal size font is 30 points. Not 8, 10, or 12. Most people use 8, 10, or 12. They put a lot of text up there and then they read the text. Here's what's wrong with reading text. One slide into your presentation, the audience is going to figure, you are a bozo. You are so stupid. You are reading the slides verbatim. Guess what? People can read silently to themselves verbatim faster than you can speak the slides verbatim. And they're going to figure this out and start reading ahead of you, and you will lose the audience, okay? If you find this rule too dogmatic, a rule of thumb is figure out who the oldest person is in the audience, divide his or her age by 2. 60-year-old people divide by 2, 30 years old, 30 points, 50-year-old people divide by 2, 25 points. VCs are getting younger, partners are getting younger, prospects are getting younger. Someday you may be pitching to a 16-year-old. At that point, God bless you. Use the 8-point font. But until that day occurs, 10 slides, 20 minutes, 30 points. The 8th thing is how to use technology to enchant people. We are in a great time because social media is fast, free, and ubiquitous. It's the trifecta of marketing. Fast, free, and everywhere. Step 1 in using technology is, for crying out loud, remove the speed bumps. Oh my God. OMG. This is a screenshot of CAPTCHA. As we all know, the purpose of CAPTCHA is to reduce the number of people who use your service, right? So, what you have to do is make your customers, potential customers, prove that they are humans, not robots. So you make them read some indecipherable text and enter it. The first word is Holber. Okay. It's the second word. The second word is problematic. How many of you know what language that is? Okay, 6 of you. Of the 6 of you, how many of you have a Hebrew keyboard? 0 of you. 1 of you. So in this audience of 200 people, 1 of you might be able to complete this CAPTCHA. That is what you would call suboptimal. Okay? And then, just for ironies of irony, this word here, do you know what this word is? Obstacle. It's the Hebrew word for obstacle. It's as if Mark Zuckerberg said, let's just play a joke here. We'll use Hebrew and we'll put up the word obstacle just to twist it into people that they can't sign up, right? Remove the speed bumps. This is an example of a company that has removed the speed bump. This is Sungevity. Sungevity is in the business of installing solar panels on people's homes. What's one of the speed bumps for that? The first meeting. Set up an appointment, they come to your house, they look at your house, they measure the roof, they do all that, right? Pain in the ass. You have to be there, you have to set up the meeting, blah, blah, blah. Sungevity has figured out a better way. You give it your home address, looks you up on a satellite photo. Satellite photo, it knows which way is southwest. It can mock up the panel on your roof. It can figure out from that mock-up how much power that panel can put out and how much the panel will cost. All you had to do was provide your home address. They removed a speed bump to the adoption of its product. Next thing you need to do is in social media, you have to understand that it is not about updating people that your cat rolled over or the line at Starbucks is long. It is about providing value. Value like information. What was just announced at F8, the Facebook Developer Conference? Information. What was announced? What does it mean that they announced this new kind of timeline? And finally, how do I get this new timeline before everybody else? The big 3 of providing value: information, insights, or assistance. That's what makes people successful on social media. And the last part is the rules of engagement. If you want to be successful in social media and enchant people, you have to respond fast. If you did nothing else but respond to all your email in 48 hours, you would enchant a lot of people, because very few people do this. I have a great deal of difficulty doing this. Fast. Also, going back to letting all these seeds go out, flat. Think of the world as flat. Walt Mossberg is important. Of course you answer Walt Mossberg, but so is Lonely Boy 15. Lonely Boy 15 with 15 followers asks you about your product, answer him. He's not Walt Mossberg, but Lonely Boy 15 could be the person that makes you tip. The last thing is you have to do this all the time. Social media is no longer something you do when everything else is done. It is core to a company's existence. Next step is to enchant your boss. How do you enchant someone you work for? Very simple. When your boss asks you to do something, you drop everything else and do it. A resounding silence envelops the room. This might not be pleasant. You might not even think it's optimal. But this is the way. It's the way. What can I tell you? If your boss asks you to do something, drop everything else and do it. It's that simple. One of the consequences of listening to me would be that you prototype fast. Your boss asks you for a PowerPoint presentation in 3 days. The next day, show up with a rough sketch of it. This is the rough sketch that became this presentation. Developing a prototype fast has 2 very good outcomes. One is it proves to your boss, hey, this person really did drop everything. Next day, she's back here, and she has a prototype. Second thing it does is it enables you to go through multiple revisions of this prototype to ensure that you have a good outcome. 2 very good outcomes. Third thing is to deliver bad news early. If any professor here tells you to deliver bad news at the last possible moment because the miracle may occur right before the bad news happens and prevent the bad news, leave the class, okay? It's very difficult to reverse bad news. You should deliver bad news early. Bosses do not like to be surprised by bad news. God bless you. Let's say sales doubles. You expected sales to be flat. That kind of news you can tell at the last minute. No problem. But bad news, tell your boss bad news early. One reason is because by telling your boss bad news early, it gives you more opportunity to fix things to prevent the bad news from happening. If you wait till the last minute, it is too late. Shame on you. Now, how to enchant down, how to enchant the people who work for you. Daniel Pink has a great explanation of this in his book, Drive. Basically, he says, beyond reasonable compensation, you need to provide employees with a map. The M in MAP stands for mastery. You come work for me, I will enable you to master new skills. You'll become a better employee. You'll be working autonomously. I'm not going to breathe down your neck. You'll be working independently. And finally, it'll be towards a higher purpose, not simply making a buck. So come to work for me. You'll master new skills, working autonomously towards a higher purpose. That's the way to enchant employees. Another way to enchant employees is to empower action, to say to them, I think you're good, I think you're smart. You have the power and independence to make a decision. Take care of our customers. Have confidence in their judgment. And the third way is to suck it up. How many of you watch Dirty Jobs? Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs. Same people who went to Never Say Never. So, Mike Rowe is an extremely enchanting person. And what makes him enchanting is the fact that he is willing to do the dirty job. He'll go and work in the paint factory, in the poi factory. He'll clean the outside of skyscrapers. He'll go into the sewer and get all the dead animals. He'll go underneath the house and clean out the dead rats. He'll perform artificial insemination on turkeys. He'll herd pigs. He'll do whatever it takes. He will do the dirty job. You should be a boss that every employee understands will do the dirty job. You will do what it takes to be successful, and you never ask people to do something that you yourself would not do, whether it's your employees, your vendor, or your customer. Don't ask people to do something that you would not do. And close out my presentation. When the book was being completed, I ran a crowdsourced contest for the cover, and this cover won. I love this cover, Blue Morpho Butterfly, symbolizing the transition of caterpillar to butterfly. How enchanting. I showed this cover to my publisher. My publisher said they hated it. Too feminine, too woo-woo, too self-help, too Shirley MacLaine, too Marin County, to Boulder, Colorado, to pyramids, to crystals. They hated it. But I love the idea of butterfly, transition to enchantment. So I thought, I have to have a better butterfly, not a butter butterfly, a better butterfly. So I thought, I'm Japanese, origami. I didn't know jack about origami, but origami. So I type in origami butterfly. And I find this thing. This is called the Alexander Swallowtail. It's made by a guy named Michael LaFosse. So I contact Michael LaFosse and I say, I need a butterfly, and I need it to be origami. I don't want it to be a stock photo of a live butterfly. I want it to be an origami butterfly. I want it to be blue, and I want it to be a badass butterfly, not a feminine, self-help, woo-woo, Boulder, Marin, Shirley MacLaine butterfly. This has to be a badass butterfly. Think if a blue morpho had sex with a B-2 stealth bomber, what would that butterfly look like? And he built this butterfly. This is the butterfly. This is what's called the Kawasaki swallowtail. Okay? He built this butterfly just for me. Special design. One piece of paper. I don't know how these people do this. One piece of paper. This is the Kawasaki swallowtail. Have you heard of the Zuckerberg swallowtail? Jobs swallowtail? Gates swallowtail? I don't think so. Haas swallowtail? I don't think so. Cross this off the bucket list. I have a butterfly named after me. So this butterfly became the butterfly on the cover. That's my book cover. Several things I have to talk about here. First of all, I sign the outside of my books. I sign the covers. Why? It's faster. Secondly, not only is it faster, it's better, because the reason why you get a book autograph is to show off that you met or know the author. If you put it on the inside, who the hell is going to see? Right? It's like, if you're going to buy a Ferrari when you make it rich, buy a red one. Okay? Don't buy a white one. If you're going to go for it, go for it. All right? Next advantage of signing the outside is it enables me to send covers all over the world. I have this standing offer that anybody who posts a picture of themselves with the book, I will send a personalized cover to, no matter where you are in the world. And what I'm trying to do is fulfill social proof, right? So if you have a copy of Enchantment and you post a picture of you and the book on Facebook, all the people who are your friends will see you with this book. That's like the white iPod earbud. I'm trying to catalyze social proof. Third reason why. And I just want to explain to you that we are selling this book today. And I want you to know that I'm going to sign it, Resisting You is Futile. Because I want, when you're reading this book in public, people to look at the cover and say, wow, you're irresistible. Tell me about yourself. What a great opening line. And more so, I have to explain, my writing is not so great. And so I'm telling you I'm going to sign it, Resisting You is Futile, because in previous books, I used to sign them Kick Butt. And then one day, this woman came up to me after I signed her book, and she said to me, Guy, why did you sign my book, Nice Butt? Yeah. So, I'm quick-witted. I said, because it's true, lady. So, and I'll tell you a funny story built on that funny story. So at a signing, I told that story, and a woman came up to me afterwards to get her copy of Enchantment signed, and she said, Guy, just sign my book, Adequate Butt. And I said, what are you talking about? She says, I don't have a nice butt, I have an adequate butt. Just sign it, Adequate Butt. So what I'm trying to tell you is I'm going to sign it, Resisting You is Futile, unless you ask me to sign it, Adequate Butt or Nice Butt or Kick Butt. And just so you know, have you ever heard a book called Presentation Zen by Gar Reynolds? This is a great book about how to make enchanting presentations. So, I have a deal now with Gar that if you buy Enchantment, you get Presentation Zen for free, ebook version. So, I'll show you how to do that. And then this is truly my last slide. If you want the PDF of this presentation, just drop an email to gina@garage.com. We'll be happy to send you a PDF. Secondly, the person who made these slides for me is a woman named Anna FX. Her name is Anna Frazal, but her website is AnnaFXFZ. If you ever need great slides done, she's the woman. And a way to capture where you have to go to redeem your copy of Presentation Zen or to get the cover signed, if you just text GUI to 44133, you'll get a return text message, and in that text message will be the links to how to redeem your Presentation Zen free copy if you buy the book. So all of that is in there. And so, what time am I supposed to end?
Perfect timing.
Okay, so, wait, let me summarize. So, I just want to reiterate that there's 3 key points to Enchantment: likability, trustworthiness, and quality. And to give you something concrete to remember, you want the likability of Richard Branson. Got down on his knees and polished my shoes for me to fly Virgin. You want the trustworthiness of Zappos. Women will buy shoes without trying them on. And you want the quality of Apple. Macintosh, iPhone, iPod, iPad. You have the quality of Apple, the trustworthiness of Zappos, and the likability of Richard Branson. You will be enchanting and you will change the world. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, we have time because we've run over a little to take 2 quick questions, but you have to use the microphone because we are using the video room and we want to post this. So if somebody has a question, we'd love to take it. Please make it fast. Thank you.
This is not good for a short one.
Oops.
Hi, just wondering, did you dress the way you dress because you disrespect us, or were you trying to be at the level of Berkeley?
I thought of all places you guys would all be wearing jeans. Like there's one guy with a tie. How many of you have a tie on? Okay, so if I had worn a tie, I would antagonize everybody else. So I couldn't wear a dress. So this is it. And yesterday, I love cowboy boots, and I just got these boots yesterday. So I had to wear them today. So, yeah. What else?
Another question, please. Time for one more.
Anybody here from the undergraduate admissions office, just in case? How are you?
So I just wanted to thank you for making your butterfly blue and gold.
That's good. That's good.
Very good. We have books outside. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, Guy, for that.
Thank you.